it's Matt Brown. We're going to look at Lake of Fire, the Meat Puppets Nirvana performance from MTV Unplugged. Alright, so let's talk about the tuning like we always do first. It's tuned down a half step, every string like you might expect. We're in the key of G minor for this one. So let's take a look at this main riff and then talk about the chords. Alright, so let's look at that first measure. What he's doing is he's fretting the G minor chord here, so 3, 5, 5, 3, 3, 3, and at times only strumming parts of it. So at the beginning here you get a pretty dramatic strum, probably about 5 strings of it, I'd say. Okay, then just kind of the lower strings of it, and then we're going to come to an F5 power chord, so that's 1, 3, 3 on your low strings, to a B flat chord. So all together. Alright, let's take a look at the next measure. Alright, so you're going to do 2 strums on the G5 power chord, and then 16th notes with muted strings. And then what you do is this. So that's, you're playing a double stop at the 5th fret on both the 3rd and 2nd strings, bending it up a half step twice on both strings. Then coming down to the 3rd fret double stops on the same strings, and then that ends with an open G note. So that measure. Alright. The 3rd measure is the same as the first, mainly playing just power chords though. A little muted strum in there that he plays. And then the last, or 4th measure of the riff, we have, so that's a C5 here, so 3, 5, 5, going from your F5 there to G5. Alright, now the next 2 bars we have this. So that's just the first bar actually, so we'll talk about that, just your G5 and F5 power chords. And at the end of the measure we're going to pick this 3rd string, 3rd fret note, and then we're going to do this lick here. So that's it slow. You're playing sextuplet rhythms, or 6 notes to a beat, and you're playing these 4th shapes, 4th interval. So you're doing 10 and 11 on your 3rd and 2nd strings, and so that's 2 beats or 12 attacks. So that's it at like kind of a medium tempo thing. Then you're coming down to the 5th and 6th frets, so just 1 beat or 6 attacks. So that much. And then you come up and end at the 7th and 8th fret. So there's some vibrato done with the left hand as well. And the way I like to do this with the right hand, I do kind of a combination of economy picking and alternate picking. So I slide in with a downstroke, hit that 2nd string note with an upstroke, and then the next note I do with an upstroke as well, and then from there I just do alternate picking. So kind of one just economy pick note that helps you play this with a little bit more fluidity, I'd say. Alright, so if you want to practice this, my recommendation is start real slow with the metronome and put it on the 8th note. So and just gradually bump the metronome up, probably from a speed like that, until you get to, it's around like 74, 76 beats per minute for the goal tempo of the song. Alright, let's move on. So next is, what we have is the verse part. And well, at least that's what I'm going to call it. It's the "Where Do Bad Folks Go When They Die" part. So we're playing pretty much the same riffs that we had before. Mainly in this part, just playing power chords though to create a little more space for the vocals. So we have. Alright, so that's pretty predictable. That's the first 4 measures. Let's move on and look at what happens next, the little chunk right before the chorus. So here are the 2 bars before the chorus. Alright, so what we're doing is kind of a new thing. Doing that, so that's your G5 played in 16th notes, palm muted with downstrokes. F to B flat, back to G, and then the lick, the type deal. Alright, so before we move on to the chorus, the people cry, people moan part, let's go back and talk about some of the second guitar parts that are happening in the song. So the second guitar is doing pretty much the exact same thing, minus the little licks. You're not going to have that, and you're not going to have the type deal too. So let me just kind of play through the first. I'll play through the first 6 bars, and you can see kind of how this goes. So instead of you have, so that's a C5 going to a B flat 5. And then let's talk about kind of what is done over the other lick. So the last 2 measures before the vocals come in, the second guitar does this. So just going back and forth between your G5 and F5 power chords. So pretty simple. Alright, let's move on to the chorus and see what happens there with the main guitar first. Alright, so beginning of the measure, the chords, we have a D minor chord, and I'm going to fret this specifically in a certain way to make the chord change to the next chord easier. So it's open 2, 3, 1 as far as the frets go. I'm using middle finger, pinky, and first string. Alright, so the next chord then is a B flat chord with an F played as the lowest note. So essentially you're just moving these 2 fingers over, and the third finger, the pinky finger can stay in place. Alright, so we have this rhythm that's like. Okay, so then let's look at the next measure. So that's a D minor to an A chord. And that the A chord is just played on the middle 4 strings with a bar. Alright, so the next measure. So kind of a different voicing for the B flat, because we're moving now up to a C chord. So the B flat played 1, 3, 3, 3 to a C, and then a D minor played here at 5, 7, 7, 6, 5. So what he's doing is playing the power chord and then rolling through the chord to make that dramatic. The little lick at the end played in the D minor chord. So you have you're hammering on 5 to 6 and back to 5, and then playing the 3rd string and the 4th string within your D minor chord. Alright, so the second guitar is doing something very similar, just kind of with different chord voicings. So at the beginning you can play like the D minor up here, and your B flat over here, then your D minor A here, D minor, B flat, and then C, D minor, like that, with pretty much the same strumming rhythms. It's kind of hard to pick out what he's doing on the recording. You know, you might want to watch him play. He could be playing the D minor over here, and if you compare these chords, you know, you're playing the exact same notes, so it's just a difference of whether you want the sound of open strings in your chords or whether you want the sound of fretted notes going during that part. So it's just kind of a tone thing, I'd say. Alright, so what happens next is we go back to the verse that repeats. We have another chorus, so that's all the same. And then we have kind of like an outro guitar jam type of thing. So let's get into all of that. After the second chorus, we're going to go to the kind of the main riff. So the okay, so that happens. That's 4 bars. Then we're going to do the twice. And then we're into the lick, so the lick is done twice, and then we're into pretty much the main bulk of the solo. So before I actually get into playing it and all of that jazz, I will show you the scales that are being used. So he's just using the G minor blues scale in 2 different positions. Basically doing, in this, I'll just show you this real quick, 3, 6, 3, 4, 5, 3, 5, 3, 5, 6, 3, 6, 3, 6. And then the next pattern is over. You have, he's really only using the top 3 strings, so your notes, so that's 5 and 7, 6 and 8, 6, 8 and 9. Alright, so I will play the solo with like a backing track so you can kind of hear how it goes and lines up with the rhythm. So I'll do it at tempo and then I'll play it slowly for you. Okay, now I'll do it slowly. Alright, so that does it for Lake of Fire. Just a few more songs left to check out on this record. And, you know, more from the others as well. So I've got plenty more coming for everyone. So let me know if you want the tabs and get in touch. Please subscribe. Alright, I'll see you guys around.